Hello, this is Rob Thompson, your English 2130 instructor. Some of you may have seen the earlier attempt I made at this, which was not very good quality. I'm trying this again. I do want to talk to you briefly about your Realism research paper, which is due February 11th, Sunday, February 11th, a week from Sunday. So you have plenty of time to work on this. It is a major part of your grade, 10-15%, whatever the syllabus says. And it does have to be researched. I just got through posting a YouTube clip about how to write a research paper in terms of MLA, works cited, page, internal documentation. I urge you to check that out. But this is just about your particular paper, the Realism paper. First, you'll notice that here are some suggested topics. You could write about Mark Twain and his attitudes about war. You could analyze the young boy coming of age in Chickamauga. Or even what that story says about war. You could analyze symbolism of the storm in Chopin's The Storm. You could analyze how the storm reflects the role of women, or the nature of marriage, or the nature of sexual desire, something along those lines. You could analyze the unreliable narrator in the yellow wallpaper, or how that work reflects the role of women as an early feminist work. You could analyze the yellow wallpaper as an early feminist work. You could analyze the yellow wallpaper in terms of postpartum depression, what it says about that. You could analyze the symbolism in the yellow wallpaper. There are a lot of things you could do with that particular story. And you could do how any of these stories relate the definition of realism. How do these reflect the definition of realism, or local color, or regionalism that we discussed, or that you learned at the beginning of the unit. So as far as the requirements for the paper are concerned, it does need to be 2 to 4 pages. And notice it says here very clearly that basically, 2 pages, a 2-page paper is for those who are okay with a C. It's the bare minimum. If you want a chance at an A or a B, it needs to be, really 3 or 4 pages. It has, of course, an introduction and a conclusion, and then you have a thesis at the end of your introduction, which is where you will basically tell what the essay is about, whatever the overall point of the essay is. And then you have 2 to 4, however many body paragraphs you need that begin with a topic sentence that relates to that thesis. So, for example, if you're writing about feminism in the yellow wallpaper, you could write about that room, the symbolism of the room that she is stuck in. You could write about her relationship with her husband, how he relates to it. You could write about her postpartum depression. There are a lot of different little subtopics you could write about within that larger, topic. And the same with all of them, and some of the ideas you may get from your research. You may find an interesting idea for a paragraph as you do your research, which is fine. You need 2 to 4 topics, 2 to 4 sources, 2 to 4 outside sources. So the work itself, this is very important right here, number 6. Each body paragraph should contain documented, cited information from your research, along with at least one quote from the text that you're analyzing. And of course, you should analyze both of those. The majority of the paragraph, the bulk of the paragraph, should be your own analysis, your own thoughts, your own insights. But within that, you can certainly, you should, to support your insights, to support your analysis, you should quote from the text at least once, and you should have at least one bit of information from an outside source. And so, again, that's in each body paragraph. You start with an idea, topic sentence, and then you have at least one bit of information from an outside source, and at least one quote from the work that you're analyzing. That's very important. And of course, grammar and punctuation is important, but it won't be formally assessed, but certainly do your best with grammar and punctuation. Again, you have 2 to 4 sources. They cannot come from just a generic Google search. You have to either use one of the GNTC databases, such as Galileo, or maybe there are 2 that are related to literature here: Literature Resource Center, maybe Literary Reference Center. So you might want to check those out. But your sources do not necessarily have to be literary sources. In other words, your sources do not have to come from they don't necessarily have to be about the yellow wallpaper, for example, or about the storm, or about Chickamauga. They could be about war. It could be a historical source about the Battle of Chickamauga. It could be a psychologist writing about postpartum depression. As long as it's in some way related to your thesis. It's related to what you're writing about. Again, it doesn't necessarily have to be about that work of literature itself. But anyway, you should find those sources from a database or from Google Scholar. That is good. You could use Google Scholar. But the one thing you can't do is just a Google search. You can't, Schmoop or Wikipedia or SparkNotes. Those are not scholarly sources. Those are not legitimate sources. So certainly, if you have Schmoop as a source, you did not do this. You did not go to one of the databases or Google Scholar, and that's not going to count. I'm afraid you'll have to do that over again. So be sure not to have one of those non-scholarly sources in your paper. So anyway, and then of course this link here, I just got through posting. This is MLA research paper information. That's the YouTube video I just made about, with all the information about works cited page and internal documentation. Hopefully it's just a review video. You already know how to do that since you've already passed 1101. But that is something for you to check out about MLA. So if you have questions about any of this, please ask. Again, you can email me. You can see me on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm at Gordon County campus. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm in Walker County. So you can come see me and schedule a time or email me questions, and I'll be glad to help. But be sure you know what you're doing. Basically, you're on your own until February 11th to write a good paper, to get your research done, and to submit it. So I look forward to reading the final results. So thank you, and let me know if you need anything.